Gad Street. I'm Jackson Daniels, and this is World News, and this is the BBC's new dress code. Tensions still running high in the city of Bet Shemesh as militant Hasids clash with extremist settlers on the Gad border of occupied Ramat Bet Shemesh Bet. The Hasids, who were elected democratically to city leadership this past fall by an overwhelming majority of city residents, have been accused of escalating violence in skirmishes with local teenage hoodlums and delinquents just outside the Rasido refugee camp, which borders the Gad and Aviv settlements. There is little hope among residents that this cycle of hostility, now in its third year, has any end in sight amidst new accusations of violence. Settlers claim a teenage girl was harassed by militants, an accusation that comes on the heels of a bitter and embarrassing election defeat of the Together Party, formed by newly arrived Israelis trying to force a political foothold in this ancient Hasidic town. Our correspondent, Serena Eisenpour, is on location in the Aviv settlement with more. Serena, what is the situation on the ground now?
Yes, Jackson, who's Mahasset, as the locals here would say. Well,
Can't hear.
It's a good line, too. It was a good line. Say it again.
Say it again.
well, Jackson, every day while local settlers live here. No?
No, not there. Hey, Deb, I thought you were clicking. I'm on a pull.
Stop. Here and here. In the lap of luxury. Hasidic families, men, women, and dozens and dozens and dozens of children live there and there in impoverished, crowded apartments and study halls. These underprivileged citizens were in fact, ironically, elected as the ruling class in this region, and yet they wait for settlers in nearby Aviv and Gad to relinquish their stranglehold on the city's larger houses and its cultural landscape. The settler culture is one of young hoodlums and rampant teen delinquency. With me now is fringe Zionist, settler, feminist leader, and oligarch Republican capitalist, J. Rothschild Kurtz. If I understand correctly, you claim that the problem is with the Hasids?
Well, of course they're always upset. They leave their wives home with the children and go study all day. What's the deal with that? Who does that serve? In our community, we earn money. Money. We go to work. That's why we have bigger houses and cars and lots of stuff and really nice clothes. And they want our lifestyle. They can go to work. They just hate us because they're jealous of our bodies.
Thank you, Ms. Kurtz. Jackson, this ignores, of course, the fact that Ms. Rothschild and her friends could not work without the Hasidic population guarding their souls with Torah.
Is that the major cause of the current conflict then, Serena? Is it, in essence, simply a class war?
No, Jackson, unfortunately, it gets much, much worse. On the Sabbath, traditionally, the Hasids desire rest from their crushing week of learning the Torah. This act performed so that the Zionist settlers can go off to work in their cushy high-tech offices. As thanks, this quiet Hasidic village is disturbed weekly by young streetwalkers and gamblers, invading the neighborhood every Friday night in order to derail their saintly way of life.
Show God's tech.
Police say that lately the settlers have grown more brazen in venturing forth here into the Hasidic stronghold of the Ego Circle Crossing. Last week, this ended in violence when one Zionist girl was allegedly attacked by militants said to be using human zeal. With me is Commissioner L.K. Kagan, who has been excitedly watching violence bloom in this region for some time. Commissioner Kagan, why do you think the settlers are growing so bold and provoking the reaction of the militants?
Well, I think they're probably threatened by the new regime after the crushing defeat of the Together Party. Every time there's a shift in the status quo, you're going to see some resistance. There's also some contention about building permits in the area. The settlers, they're trying to claim their turf, and the locals react badly.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Serena. Have you been able to speak with any of the local Hasids regarding regarding the settler claim of provocation and the Hasidic counterclaim of provocativeness.
Yes, Jackson, I'm standing here with the wife of Rabbi Issachar Schnorren. A local woman whose two sons, she says, were visually attacked.
Now, Serena, if I can just come in there. When you say visually attacked, just what are we talking about here?
Well, it seems, Jackson, that the eyes of the males in this region are somewhat more sensitive than average. Young girls walking about is considered an act of visual aggression.
That's right. We got a lot of complaints about this over the years, and it's hard to get any final status agreements on sleeve and skirt borders in the region.
Mrs. Schnorman, your two sons were visually attacked by some teenage girls last Friday night. Can you tell us about the attack?
They tried so hard, but they were all in their say nine because of the princess. They bring them to a show, and princess like this rat tail. You think we're jealous of your body? You should be jealous of me.
Also with me is Rabbi Schnorman's sister, whose husband, Shvia Zalman, hasn't worked in over 20 years in a spectacular show of sacrifice for the nation's security. The couple has 12 children, 3 of whom have been visually attacked by Zionist females.
Gewalt. The eye attacks are taking place on Friday nights, a religious Zionist holiday where the tradition tells them to send bad girls to go to precious boys to fight with the Israeli boys. My boys can no longer leave the house on Shabbos. This is a tragedy because it means they cannot be seen by the neighbors trying to find them a suitable shidduch. And we need the money.
Jackson, in addition, I've been told that the Israelis are heavily armed with pepper spray, supplied mostly by America and, perhaps more surprisingly, Australia. Obviously in clear violation of internecine law. I must tell you that I have seen these devastating pepper attacks and could not sleep for nights afterwards. Allegedly, it is a settler doctor who has been most instrumental in providing the extremist Zionist elements with these phosphorus-like weapons.
I understand that the settlers were attempting construction of a bar and adult entertainment club right in the center of Ramat Bet Shemesh Bet, to which the residents strongly protested. Can you comment on this, Serena?
Yes, Jackson, that's the building behind me. In the meantime, the settlers have agreed to halt construction in exchange for the use of the Hasidic-owned land to build an elementary school for delinquent children. Many in the Ramat Bet Shemesh community who oppose this move, calling it a short-sighted capitulation.
Serena, amidst this heartbreaking cycle of violence, are there any local efforts underway at brokering a peace between the sides?
Well, Jackson, a local activist group associated with the now defunct Together Party has made some headway, such as the now famous television talks of 2007, in which the two sides dialogue to end Zionist visual media attacks. Even given the success of those talks, satellite TV subscription is at an all-time high on Gad, a sign that the leader of the group, Rabbi Lippman, has largely failed to bring the desired peace. It seems, Jackson, that the Hasids on the other side of the Gad partition wall will continue to suffer with flickering blue images of immodest women invading their windows, and the impressionable minds of their children. This is a conflict that does not seem to be ending anytime soon.
Thank you, Serena. Protest of identification with the Ramat Bet Shemesh Bet Hasids are underway in Gateshead and Gold